What's up guys, DuArktik with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are back to talk about Kang once again, this time in the context of Dark Dimension. Is this character a must-have character for Dark Dimension? Is this something that you should aim for as a new player to help you out unlocking Dormammu? Is this a character that you should invest in terms of Dark Dimension 6? The rumored Dark Dimension 6 that is going to show up in 2023 supposedly. So we're going to take a look at gameplay of this character in action together with other useful characters in Dark Dimension and see what are his limitations, what is his potential, and what you can expect from a very big Kang. Of course, if you have a smaller Kang, the problems that Kang has will be increased, the benefits that he has will be significantly decreased, but overall it's okay character. Let's be honest, it's okay character. It's a character that you have to invest anyway. The only difference is if you should keep an eye on, is it something that you should rush for in case you are looking for Dormammu. So we're going to break all of that in this video. So as always, if you like information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's take a look at the cosmic nodes on Dark Dimension 5, and after that we are going to break down exactly what you can do, what was his problems, and which other characters we have available for cosmic, and if it makes sense to invest in him or invest in other characters, because let's be honest, Kang for Cosmic Crucible, he doesn't need the Teal Gear, so this is something that you can help to decide if you want to prioritize him over other characters. So we're going to talk about that in the conclusion part, so let's get started. Okay, so let's take a look at Kang in action. This is the team that I'm going to take. So we're going to take Eternals, we're going to take Kestrel, we're going to take Deadpool, and we're also going to take Kang. This is the characters that are like necessary for Dark Dimension. The Eternals, they are pretty much necessary. And then we have characters that you need for Apocalypse. Apocalypse is the big boy right now that everyone is aiming for, so that's what we are going to focus on in terms of developing characters. Okay, so as you can see right here, we are destroying the enemies, the usual. Those defense downs early on are quite helpful. There are some synergies between Kestrel and Kang, but to be honest, it's not something groundbreaking or anything like that. Kestrel, she gets additional HP with cosmic characters, but we are on the cosmic session. All characters are cosmic, so it's irrelevant. Okay, so one thing that you can see with Kang is that he doesn't seem to be as fast as he is in other game modes, and the reason why, it's not only because he doesn't get the turn meter. Yes, he still gets the turn meter in Dark Dimension, but the problem is that he's not able to get speed up like frequently, or there are a few times that he gets speed up, like right now he has speed up, but it seems like many times he's a little bit on the slow side. In terms of healing and in terms of health, you can see that he is pretty much max health. That's not a problem at all. And the on turn, you see, is going to do all that mass healing, so that's not going to be a problem. Then with the special, the evades, they are nice, but they just go away way too fast, and the defense up, it only lasts for one turn. So the defense up that he does with the special only lasts for one turn, and I don't know, there is something that doesn't feel good with this character. I've done Dark Dimension 5 with multiple characters. I've used Moondragon, Falavel, Star-Lord T'Challa, Dormammu, Strange Supreme, and so on. And I don't know, it just feels that his survivability is just not good enough. And it's not because of the yellow stars, because in the past we also didn't have yellow stars on Moonstone and Falavel, and they have worse stats than Kang. So I really think that it's just a perception that the defense sub doesn't gives, or the lack of controlling effect. So we have turn rewind on the enemies with Eternals, right? That's cool. But we don't have any source of offense down, and we don't have many turns of defense up. So that makes the situations a little bit cutthroat. It's like you are always on that line that you're gonna die or something like that. So now we have the deflects, but we don't have the speed up. The speed up is tied in with the ultimate, and the ultimate has a long cooldown, and you have no way of getting energy. So it's always a struggle to get this guy going like pretty well. And in this specific situation, I have two skirmishers. I have Deadpool as a skirmisher, which is unusual for most people. And I have also Cersei as a skirmisher. And even so, and all the assists that Cersei has with Icarus and so on, I was not being able of having enough vulnerabilities with Kang in order to use his isolate potential all the time. So it was a little bit of a struggle. I'm going to be honest, like it was a little bit of a struggle. So once again, we have all the cooldowns available. I'm going to use the special to apply the defense down to the enemies. The special has a big problem that he has very trash focus, so landing that slow is problematic. And once again, because we have the speed of the Eternals, because we have the turn meter of Kang, but because we don't have slow on the enemies, you kind of don't feel the impact that these abilities should have. So it's a little bit like Kang needs a little bit more support in order to make him look better. I feel like that's what we have in other game modes, is that he has a lot better support, and because of that, especially in Arena, he just shines together with Spider Weaver and with Spider-Man 2099. Okay, so we are finishing off this node number 1, and then you're gonna take a look at node number 2. As you can see, like, he destroyed, he had no problems with the healing. It just feels like there is something missing. Definitely lack of control in terms of the enemies and so on. So let's take a look at the second node now. Okay, so here we go for the second node, and this is all back to back. We don't heal between the nodes or anything like that. We are going to one-shot all the cosmic nodes, once again to give you a perception of what the maximum you can expect out of using this character. Okay, so here we go. You're going to keep watching these on 50% extra speed. And some of these nodes, they are quite tricky. If you don't know how to play them well, you might find yourself into a little bit of a pickle, having some problems. And another problem with Kang is that his damage is somewhat inconsistent. You guys just saw there, we had crits for over 700,000, but then the non-crit attacks, they are just 300,000, and I mean 300,000 is great. 300,000 is great. Icarus with his ultimate, I think he does like 500,000 and he's 700 stars. So that's cool. 300,000 is not trash for a 5 yellow 5 red character, but at the same time, the crit rate you can get in these matches, it is around 60% to 70%. So sometimes the damage is not like, whoa, mind-blowing. So you saw there the first attack 200,000, then the second attack 700,000, and yeah, that's something that it feels very inconsistent about the character, is that sometimes it just blows away everything, and at other times it doesn't really. It does damage, but it's not like very impressive. Another problem, once again, is the focus, the fact that you cannot consistently apply negative effects to the enemies, especially the slow, is just huge. But I guess the lack of focus match with the character, because he's always trying to conquer everything, and that makes him a little bit inconsistent. So I guess the focus is going to be a problem for him. So look at this damage. So 600,000, then 500,000, and then we have the Castle attack and the Deadpool attack. Black Bolt with that big special, and once again, like I don't know, he does nice damage. He does nice damage, but the control, man, the control is just. I really like characters that do a lot of control, characters that apply a lot of negative effects. For game modes like Dark Dimension, where you have multiple turns, it is extremely important. And the problem is not only with Kang. Let's be honest, Kestrel has the same problem. She applies the defense downs, but that's not really a type of control. That's just increasing damage. Control is like stun, ability blocks, turn rewinds, and slows, and all these things. Okay, so we have the Disrupt. The Disrupt is very useful. And while the focus of him is kind of garbage, he actually lands the disrupt better than he lands the slow. It seems like the special ability really struggles to apply the slow. Which I guess is a good thing, because the disrupt is a very important negative effect, while the slow, it really depends, and many characters apply slow and many characters do not apply disrupt. Okay, so now with Deadpool we are going to spread those negative effects. This is why I have Deadpool as a skirmisher, because she also has a problem with the focus, so it's very important to make sure that you can spread those negative effects, and that's why I changed it to skirmisher. So you can see right there the damage from Kang. We have 500,000, then we have 400,000 from his basic. That was without the isolate attack. So yeah, like with his basic attack you can get a total output of like 1.3 million, which is very impressive. You can definitely one-shot characters in other game modes, but in Dark Dimension is like not. It's not the best option. Like, once again, I'm not trying to undersell this guy. The guy is great in other game modes, but he was clearly not designed for a Dark Dimension, even that he has some good abilities, like the passive ability where he drains the health. Look at that. He's always max health. Every time he has a turn, if you are facing like a few characters, he's always going to get max health. You saw there the second attack doing 900,000 on Miles. That was like literally insane. And yeah, so we are once again on this situation that we have no negative effects on the field. And this is so frustrating. Like, we don't have any good cosmic characters. Some people like to talk about Hela and so on. Like, Hela is okay, but she also does not apply useful controller negative effects. She also applies Disrupt, she applies Blitz, she spreads negative effects, but we need someone to actually apply those negative effects. And unfortunately, that's a big problem. With Star-Lord T'Challa, you could have the blind, and the blind you can spread it with Hela. But I'm going to be honest with you, if someone is telling you to invest on Hela for Dark Dimension, that's a big mistake. Hela is just terrible on Dark Dimension because there are multiple characters that will take advantage out of killing Greg. There are multiple Carnages on the first node. On the second node, there are multiple Jubilees. On the third node, you also have some Jubilees. So it's not a good thing to bring to Dark Dimension, and she's extremely expensive. So she's extremely expensive. That's the only thing that is going on for Kang, is that he's quite cheap to get up. And most of his gear is not being used by anyone. He shares the same centerpiece unique as Black Bolt. He shares the same centerpiece unique as Nebula, which are definitely decent characters, but they are not the top of the meta right now. So you can see right here, we are just getting destroyed by the enemies. Cersei is going to be able to flip those negative effects into positive effects, but are we striving? No, we are not striving. We are just surviving, and that's why, like, yeah, it's an okay character. I guess it's an okay character. Like, you could spread now the slow with Deathpool, but the amount of negative effects that control the enemies is just so low that it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. I really wish that we had some more impactful characters on the cosmic lane like we have on global. Like, if you could use Kang on global, that would be a lot better. If you could use Kang on city together with Cloak and Dagger, that would be a lot better. So maybe it is by design by the developers that the cosmic characters do not have as much control as the global characters and city characters, but it just doesn't feel good. Okay, so for example here, if you have Hela here with Greg, you're gonna get destroyed. Like, you're gonna get destroyed. This is why you'll never see me using Hela on Dark Dimension 5, because the enemies, they are just going after your Gregs. Okay, so now Icarus once again flips, destroys the enemies. And yeah, like, if you don't take the Eternals here, it's going to be a huge struggle. It's going to be a huge struggle because, once again, the lack of controlling effects really causes you a lot of problems. And I came to Dark Dimension on my first run without Icarus, with just Cersei, and it was not great. It was definitely not great. I don't recommend anyone that experience. Okay, so now we have Jubilee. We're gonna flip those positive effects into negative effects, and look at that. That's the best control we have, is to flip positive effects on the enemies to negative effects. But now we need to spread them around, and we can't. Okay, so that was node number 2. As you can see, once again, the problems that Kang has. It's not a survivability, it's not a lack of damage, and it's not even himself. It's just that the entire team does not work properly. We have all these characters that we need to invest in case you are trying to have a successful run in Dark Dimension, in case you are trying to obtain Apocalypse, and the characters are just not good enough. Okay, so after we are done with this area, we are going to take a look at the last node, and I'm just trying to get some cooldowns ready. You can see the basic right here from Kang is going to destroy that area. Look at that, 500,000. So the damage is just impressive. It's just everything else that is not like, just not that great. Okay, so let's take a look at the last node of the Cosmic Lane in Dark Dimension 5, and then we are going to make the conclusions of if you should invest on Kang for Dark Dimension 5 or not. Is this something that you should rush for as a new player? Is this something that you should consider for Dark Dimension 6 if the fake rumors become true? We're going to talk about that on the conclusion part after this node. And you can see right here, once again, we're going to apply that vulnerability. We are using his basic just for us to have the time to really do some damage on the enemies, because this first wave, you have to play it in a way. Some people are misled into using the ultimate of Icarus turn 1, but that's a mistake. You always want to use the special first of Icarus and then use the ultimate, because that will allow you to destroy these enemies that we are facing. Okay, so we're gonna try to push that second wave. Kang so far, he only did the basic, and there we go. So this is the point, and this is why you are saving the ultimate of Icarus, so you can flip all those defense ups and immunities to defense downs. Okay, so Kang, even without speed up, is able to go faster than Icarus. Their speed is not like super different, because Icarus has 126 speed, but he has speed up. Kang has 130 speed, but he has the turn meter. So at the end of the day, they get pretty much around the same average speed. And now we are going to destroy. Always make sure that you destroy the Zemo first, and make sure you have character at low health, so you can just destroy them with Icarus. Okay, so as you can see, everyone getting decimated, and we are saving that ultimate with Kang, because you are not going to use the ultimate against characters with immunity. I mean, you could use, because it also clears negative effects away, but it's just better to flip them. So now, because the enemies do not have positive effects, now we are going to use the ultimate, applying that defense down. You saw big damage right there, crits of 700,000, not crits of 400,000, so the damage is very high. It even overpasses the damage from Icarus, but of course that might be because he has Isolate Blue level 5 and Icarus does not, so that's a big difference right there. Okay, so now we are going to destroy these last enemies, and this node can be a little bit tricky because there are some interesting combination of enemies that cause you a lot of problems. We have a lot of characters with retaliation attacks, and that might cause some problems. Once again, he's great, he has full health all the time, he has those evades, and he has the speed up. The only problem is indeed the fact that we don't have enough control. We don't have enough slows on the enemies, we don't have enough defense ups on our team, we don't have enough offense downs on the enemy team, and we also don't have any ability block, which is it's just terrible actually. We only have the stun from Cersei, and that's just not enough in situations like this. And this is why we destroy so much like global and city, is because we have all kinds of slows, all kinds of blinds, all kinds of ability blocks, all kinds of stuns. So yeah, it feels a lot better on the other sections of Dark Dimension. Okay, so big damage there. He didn't crit. You saw there, oh yikes, triple tap, and he just did 400,000 damage. And other times he does damage like 1.3 million, 1.4 million. So yeah, if you are unlucky, if your crits are not popping, the damage output is really, really huge. Now, should you use him as a striker? Should you use him as a raider? Should you use him as anything else that is not those? I still think that is better as a striker, because the turn meter is just so massive, and the fact that his survivability is relying 100% on him having turns. So if you want to keep Kang alive, you want Kang to go as fast as possible. In terms of the crit damage, usually having Raider outputs more damage than Striker, because you have more crit chance. But at such a high level of crit, even without Raider, he has 70% chance of crit, he has 50% from his stats, and then he gets another 20% if he has offense up. So even at that very high level of crit chance, then the striker becomes better, because the normalization of the stats is more consistent, right? The raider no longer has all that maximum crit chance, and the striker doesn't have any crit chance. So now we have more similar crit chances, and the additional crit damage is compensated by the higher amount of base damage. So once again, the striker, in my opinion, becomes like the best option, not only for the turn meter, but also for the more consistent damage. And in case you are crazy like me and you have your Kang with Isolate Blue level 5, that Isolate Blue level 5 also results in some additional healing with the striker Isolate. So once again, we are relying on Kang having turns to keep him alive. So you can see right there, he's very, very low. Let's see if you're going to be able to heal him up on his next turn. And of course, this is going to depend on how many enemies you are facing. The more enemies you face, the more healing you are going to obtain. Okay, so we are facing only 2 enemies, so that was around 25% to 30% additional health for him. So it's not like massive. Then you saw the additional healing with Isolate Blue level 5. Once again, justifying the fact that the Isolate helps to keep himself alive. And with the Raider, like the Raider, you might feel like it's nicer because you are getting all those vulnerabilities on the enemies, but you are lowering his survival chance by applying more vulnerabilities to the enemies. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense. It's just better to have more turns, more chances of applying defense down, more chances to get evades, more chances to apply the damage to the enemies, more chances to also get the speed up with his ultimate, and clearing positive effects from the enemies. Since we don't have many controlling effects on the enemies, let's at least have let's at least make sure that the enemies do not have positive effects. Okay, so you can see he's once again back to full health, but he's just gonna get destroyed. He doesn't have evades anymore. We are facing so many enemies that 3 evades is literally nothing. Then the defense up on the special, it just doesn't come often enough, and it doesn't last long enough. So once again, you're going to use the special, big damage right there. Like the damage output is literally insane. But then you only have defense up for 1 turn, and the problem is that you have the defense up and the evades at the same time, which is big yikes in terms of his overall survivability. So the evades are gone. And now he gets attacked by Deadpool. He gets a bunch of negative effects in the face. That's another problem, is that his resistance is not that great, and he also doesn't have any mechanics to clear those negative effects away. Then he got targeted by OG Spider-Man Ultimate, which does like 500% damage, which is big. And yeah, so finally Kang eats the dust, but he did pretty good. He was alive for a longer time than Kestrel, and that comes out of his survivability. Like all that healing that he gets from his passive whenever he has a turn, while Kestrel, she gets like 20% of her max health. Kang can get way higher based on how many enemies you are facing. and based on the fact that he's so much faster than Kestrel at the end of the day because of the speed up and because of that additional turn meter. So even if Kestrel has speed up, many times Kang will outspeed her because of the 40% turn meter. It's like he only has to run for 60 meters while Kestrel has speed up, but she has to run for 100% for 100 meters, which, yeah, okay, so that's the last node. Now let's go to the conclusion part. Let's see what other characters we have available and see if indeed Kang is one of the best options for you to take to Dark Dimension 5 or not. Okay, so it's conclusion time. Should you take Kang for Dark Dimension 5 or not? I think that the answer is yes, but not because of the value that he provides in Dark Dimension. He's just one of those characters that you have to gear up anyway. He's great in Cosmic Crucible, that will allow you to unlock Quicksilver. He's going to be part of some legendary requirement. He's great in Arena, he's great in Raids, he's great in Alliance Wars, he's great in Cosmic Crucible, so it's not like you have to gear him up because he is good for Dark Dimension. It's just because he's good everywhere else. Now, in terms of the other characters that we have available, it's what I mentioned before. We just don't have good controllers in the Cosmic section. The Strange Supreme is pretty much garbage. Phyla-Vell is barely okay. Moondragon is barely okay as well, and then beyond that it gets worse and worse. It's just terrible. Then like, look at these characters, they are all garbage. They are all or single target damage or burst damage with no type of control, no type of multiple negative effects or multiple support on a reliable turn. It's just the Cosmic section is just garbage. Now I'm gonna be honest. If you use Dormammu together with Kang in the Cosmic lane, that's a different story. Yeah, then it's another level. Then it's like super easy because Dormammu, based on the negative effects that he applies to the enemies, the stun with the slows. If you don't know, like some people don't realize, but Dormammu applies slow with his special to characters around the one with the stun. The ultimate, it also applies slow to the enemies and defense down and speed up to our team and defense up. If you have a character together like Dormammu and Kang, that's like a match made in heaven. Those characters together, they are very good because Dormammu is able to complement the problems that Kang has, and that makes a huge difference. So instead of using the team that I used, if you have Dormammu available, then you want to use him. And this taking a look at Dark Dimension 6. If the rumors or the fake rumors or the fake predictions or whatever come true, and if we have some kind of Dark Dimension 6, then yes, then you definitely want to take Kang together with Eternals, together with Dormammu and some other character. But for the people that still do not have Dormammu, sure, you can gear up Kang, but you are not going to one-shot nodes like I did. You're going to struggle quite a lot because, unfortunately, that's just the way the character works. And until we have some good controllers for Dark Dimension 5 Cosmic, we are always going to be struggling with this situation. So that's going to be the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and if you found the video helpful, make sure you share it to your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.